I'm Wanda, sitting in my new office, overlooking the bustling city. I'm surrounded by the trappings of success, a state-of-the-art lab, a team of brilliant researchers, and a view that stretches as far as the eye can see. But as I look at the framed photo of my daughter, Lily, and our 2 dogs on my desk, my mind drifts back to a time when my world was on the brink of collapse. It was a sunny morning, but the atmosphere inside the glass-walled conference room of Cleantech Solutions was as cold as ice. I remember the smug smile on Isabella's face as she slid a piece of paper across the desk. "We're restructuring the department budget," she said, her voice as smooth as silk but as cold as steel. "Everyone has to make sacrifices. We're offering you a 60% reduction in compensation. We hope you'll see the value in staying with us." I stared at the numbers on the paper. They wanted to cut my $90,000 salary down to $36,000. I had dedicated 8 years of my life to this company, turning it from a struggling startup into a multi-million-dollar industry leader with my innovative cleaning formulations. And this was my reward. Isabella tapped her manicured nail on the signature line. "This takes effect next month. We need your decision by Friday." I didn't show any emotion. I simply nodded, knowing exactly what they were doing. 3 executives watched from the corner, their eyes gleaming like predators who had cornered their prey. "I understand," I said, my voice steady. "I'll review this and get back to you." Walking out of that conference room felt like wading through a fog. 8 years of late nights, 8 years of chemical burns on my hands, and 8 years of developing groundbreaking formulations that had put Cleantech on the map. And now they thought they had me trapped. I'm a chemist and a good one at that. I specialize in eco-friendly industrial cleaning solutions. When I joined Cleantech 8 years ago, it was a small company with outdated products and a shrinking client base. In my first year, I developed a formula that could cut through industrial grime at a much lower concentration than our competitors. By the 3rd year, my innovations had tripled our client base. By the 5th year, we had opened 2 new manufacturing facilities. But then Lily got sick. She was diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disorder, and the medical bills started piling up. Even with insurance, the cost was overwhelming. I asked for a raise, pointing out the company's growth, but they offered me a one-time wellness bonus that barely covered 2 months of medical expenses. One night at the company holiday party, I overheard Isabella bragging to someone that my division had generated 45% of the company's annual revenue. She was wearing a diamond necklace that probably cost more than my annual salary. That was the moment something inside me snapped. I went home and pulled out my employment contract. Lily found me at 3 a.m., surrounded by papers at the kitchen table. "Mom, why are you still awake?" she asked, her big eyes filled with concern. "Just work stuff, honey. Go back to sleep. Is everything okay? Are you worried about money again?" At 13, she was already so perceptive. I reassured her that everything would be fine, and for the first time in a long time, I believed it. I discovered a loophole in my contract. The intellectual property clause stated that all inventions created using company facilities and materials during standard business hours belonged to Cleantech. But for years, I had maintained a home lab. It was nothing fancy, just basic equipment I had collected over time. Whenever inspiration struck, whether it was at night or while waiting at Lily's medical appointments, I would jot down ideas. On weekends, I would conduct experiments in my garage. The most revolutionary formulations that had transformed Cleantech's fortunes were actually developed at home and then replicated at work. I had detailed documentation, including dated journal entries, videos of my home experiments, and receipts for the materials I had purchased myself. I had inadvertently created a loophole big enough to drive a truck through. The day after receiving the restructuring paperwork, I went to work as usual. I smiled at my colleagues and ran my scheduled tests. But during lunch, I slipped out to meet with Ryan, a patent attorney I had been consulting with for 4 months. "Everything's ready," he confirmed. "The provisional patents were filed last week. As soon as you give the word, we can proceed with the full applications." I had 3 of my best formulations, including a new cold water cleaning agent that could reduce energy costs by up to 35%. It was a game changer for our industrial clients. For the next week, I played the part of the defeated employee. I asked Isabella for a few more days to consider the offer and mention Lily's medical needs. She feigned sympathy while mentally calculating how much they would save by slashing my salary. "We value your contribution, Wanda," she said, her voice dripping with false concern. "But business is business." Behind the scenes, I was planning my counterattack. I finalized my patent applications and met with Max, the research director at Green Clean, Cleantech's biggest competitor. "Your work is exceptional," he said after reviewing my portfolio. "And your situation at Cleantech is unfortunate. We're prepared to offer you a position as Senior Research Director with a starting salary of $190,000 plus a research budget and a team." It was double my current salary and triple what Cleantech was trying to cut me down to. The following Tuesday, the day before the deadline to accept Cleantech's insulting offer, I dressed in a sharp black suit that made me feel powerful. I styled my hair neatly and put on the pearl earrings my mother had given me before she passed away. "You look amazing, Mom," Lily said as I dropped her off at school. "Like you're going to take on the world." "Smart girl," I replied. I arrived at Cleantech's headquarters at exactly 9:30 a.m. The receptionist, who had seen me come in early for 8 years, barely acknowledged me. I took the elevator to the executive floor, where I was rarely invited. Isabella's assistant tried to stop me.
"She's in a meeting," she said.
I walked past her and into the conference room, where Isabella and the executive team were sitting. 8 pairs of eyes looked up at me, annoyed at the interruption. "Wanda," Isabella said sharply, "we're in the middle of something. This will only take a minute." I replied, my voice calm. I approached her chair and placed a thick envelope on the table in front of her. "What's this?" she asked, not bothering to open it. "Your acceptance of our offer?" "Not exactly," I said. "It's a licensing agreement." Her perfectly arched eyebrows furrowed. "A what?" "A licensing agreement for the continued use of my proprietary formulations, specifically formulas XG8, PT20, and the new CW45, I explained. The room went silent. Mark, the legal director, was the first to recover. "Your formulations belong to Cleantech," he said, laughing dismissively. "Your employment contract clearly states that inventions created using company facilities during business hours are our property." I interrupted him. "I have comprehensive documentation proving that these formulations were developed in my home laboratory using my own equipment and materials outside of standard business hours." I placed a second envelope on the table. "These are copies of my patent applications, which have already been provisionally approved." Isabella's face paled as she opened the envelope and scanned the contents. The licensing agreement was straightforward. Cleantech could continue using my formulations for a monthly fee of $4,500 per formula, which was exactly the amount they were planning to cut from my monthly salary. "This is absurd," she sputtered. "You can't just—" "I can and I have," I said quietly. "You have 2 options. You can license my formulations at the stated rate, or you can reformulate your entire product line. I'm sure the latter would cost millions in R&D and manufacturing changes, not to mention potential client loss during the transition." The executives exchanged panicked looks.
They knew I was right.
My formulations were the backbone of their recent success. "You won't get away with this," Mark threatened. "We'll fight you in court." "You could," I agreed. "But discovery would be interesting. All those emails about how to push me out while keeping my work, and the conversations about Lily's medical situation making me financially vulnerable. I've kept records of them." It was a bluff, but judging by their expressions, I knew those emails existed. Isabella stood up, her chair scraping against the floor. "Everyone out, except Wanda," she ordered. The room emptied quickly. When we were alone, her mask dropped. "Do you have any idea what you've done?"
She hissed.
"We made you. We gave you opportunities when no one else would." I laughed softly. "Is that what you tell yourself? I've created over $50 million in value for this company, and you've paid me less than 1% of that. I've worked weekends, holidays, and through Lily's hospital stays, and you knew you could take advantage of my dedication. Is this revenge?"
she asked.
"No," I said, meeting her gaze steadily. "This is business, just like the pay cut was business." Her eyes narrowed. What's to stop us from taking these patents from you? We have resources you can't imagine.
Several things, I replied.
First, I've already accepted a position at Green Clean as research director, and they're very excited about my cold water formula. Second, my new employment contract with them acknowledges my ownership of these patents and includes a strong legal defense clause. You have until the end of the week to decide about the licensing. After that, the rate will increase. Oh, and I've already spoken to Robert and Sarah from the board. They're concerned about the potential disruption to the business and are interested in how this situation developed. I believe they're calling an emergency board meeting this afternoon. Isabella's face contorted with rage. You won't work in this industry again. I'll make sure of it. I smiled. Actually, I think I'll do just fine. Better than fine. By the way, Lily is starting a new treatment next month. Thanks to my new position, I can finally afford it without worry. So, in a way, I should thank you for that insulting offer. It finally made me realize my worth. I walked out of Cleantech's headquarters for the last time, feeling the weight of 8 years lift off my shoulders. My phone buzzed with a text from Max. Contract ready when you are. Team excited to meet you Monday. That afternoon, I picked Lily up from school early. Why aren't you at work? She asked, surprised to see me. I got a new job, I told her. A better one. And I think it's time we celebrated. Does this mean we can get a dog? She asked immediately, making me laugh. You know what? I think it does. 2 days later, Cleantech's legal team contacted me to accept my licensing terms. 1 week after that, Isabella was removed as division director following a board investigation. And 3 weeks later, Lily started her new treatment with me by her side, and I no longer had to worry about taking time off when she needed me. My first day at Green Clean was surreal. Max greeted me in the lobby, not his office. It was a small gesture that spoke volumes. He introduced me to the entire research team as the innovator who would help reshape the market. There was no hiding in a basement lab, no downplaying my contributions. We've set up your office and lab according to your specifications, he said, opening a door to reveal a space twice the size of my old one. And these are the researchers who will be working with you. For people stood waiting, 2 women and 2 men, all with advanced degrees and specialties that complemented mine. I reviewed your cold water formula proposal, said one of them, Emily. The molecular architecture is brilliant. I have some ideas for stabilization if you're open to collaboration. It was real scientific collaboration, not competition or taking credit. That evening, when I picked Lily up from our neighbor's house, she looked at me and said, "You look different, Mom. Like you're finally free."
Kids see everything.
On the way home, we stopped at an animal shelter and met a 1-eared golden retriever mix named Daisy. She leaned against Lily's leg and looked up at us with hopeful eyes. We were smitten. Is this really happening? Lily whispered as we filled out the adoption paperwork. This is really happening, I confirmed. Over the next few weeks, I settled into my role at Green Clean. My team and I refined the cold water formula for industrial applications, and Max fast-tracked it for production. Meanwhile, Lily's health improved with the new treatment. She joined a science club at school and started talking about becoming a doctor. 6 weeks after I left Cleantech, I received a call from Mia, a junior chemist at Cleantech. They're trying to recreate your formulations to avoid paying you, she said. Decker is pressuring the lab to reverse engineer your work. He's got us working double shifts. I was angry but not surprised. I called Ryan immediately. This is standard playbook for companies in their position, he said. They're hoping to find a workaround to avoid infringement. It's possible, but patent protection has its limits. That evening, I couldn't sleep. I spread my research journals across the kitchen table, not the official ones from Cleantech, but my personal notes from all those nights working at home. I realized that my formulations were part of a larger system, and there were underlying principles that weren't explicitly stated in the patents. The next day, I requested a meeting with Max and Green Clean's legal team. They're trying to circumvent my patents, I said. I have a proposal. What if we create a more comprehensive cleaning system that integrates my 3 patented formulations and adds new elements that work synergistically? The legal director leaned forward. You're talking about creating a moat around your intellectual property. Exactly, I said. Something clean tech can't easily replicate because it's not just about the individual formulations, but how they work together. Max nodded slowly. This could be significant beyond just protecting your patents. A truly integrated cleaning system would be revolutionary for industrial clients, reducing costs, simplifying training, and having a better environmental profile. How quickly could we develop this? I glanced at my notes. With dedicated resources, 3 months. You'll have whatever you need, Max promised. For the next 12 weeks, we worked tirelessly on the integrated system. Lily's health continued to improve, and she became more confident and happy. One evening, as I was reviewing data at home, she sat across from me with her homework. "Mom, are you happier now?"
She asked.
"Why do you ask?" I replied. "Before, you always looked tired and worried. Now you seem more like yourself," she said. I put down my pen and looked at her. Yes, I'm happier. Standing up for myself was scary, but it was the right thing to do. She nodded. So, sometimes the scary thing is the right thing. I smiled. Sometimes it is. 2 days later, Lily came home with a black eye. "What happened?" I gasped. "Some boy at school said girls aren't good at science." I told him that was stupid because my mom is a brilliant chemist. He said I was lying, so I showed him your picture on the Green Clean website, and he said you probably just mix things that men invented. I got so angry that I punched him in the stomach. Then he pushed me, and I fell against a desk. I pressed an ice pack to her eye, torn between being proud of her standing up for herself and disapproving of the violence. "Fighting isn't usually the answer," I said. "I know, but you said sometimes the scary thing is the right thing," she replied. I couldn't argue with that. The next week, our integrated cleaning system was ready for field testing. We selected 3 manufacturing plants as test sites, including one that had recently dropped Cleantech as their supplier. The results were beyond our expectations. The system reduced cleaning time by 45%, lowered water usage by 65%, and significantly improved surface longevity. The client feedback was ecstatic. Max called me into his office after reviewing the data. "This is extraordinary, Wanda. Beyond what we imagined." "Thank you." "The team deserves most of the credit," I said. "The team you built and led," he corrected. "We're fast-tracking this for full production, and the board has approved a special innovation bonus." He slid a paper across the desk. The number made me blink. It was a substantial amount, proportional to the projected value of the system. That weekend, I received another call from Mia. They're panicking at Cleantech. Word has gotten out about our new cleaning system. 3 major clients have already requested meetings to learn more, and 2 have put their Cleantech contracts on hold. "How's Isabella taking it?" I asked. "She's gone." The board investigation revealed financial improprieties. Decker is the interim director, but he's struggling. The lab morale is at an all-time low, and they've lost 7 researchers in the past month. I felt a mix of satisfaction and sadness. "Mia, why are you still there?" I asked. "I need the job. My brother has cancer, and the medical bills are overwhelming," she said. I understood completely. "Send me your resume," I told her. 2 weeks later, Mia joined my team at Green Clean. Her specialized knowledge of polymer chemistry was exactly what we needed for our next project. When I introduced her to the team, the gratitude in her eyes reminded me of why this was all worth it. It wasn't just about revenge. It was about creating a place where talent was valued, innovation was rewarded, and people could do their best work without being exploited. 3 months after launching our integrated system, Cleantech approached Green Clean with an acquisition offer. Max called me into the meeting with their representatives, who were Robert and Sarah from the board. "Wanda, you've been busy," Robert said curtly. "Just doing my job," I replied. "My appropriately compensated job." Sarah almost smiled. "We've made serious management changes at Cleantech. The board has taken a more active role, and we recognize that mistakes were made." The acquisition discussions were complex and lasted for weeks. I was involved in every meeting, and my input was sought and valued. Eventually, a deal was structured. Green Clean would acquire Cleantech, but maintain it as a separate brand targeting different market segments. We'd like